Hi, my name is Ella and I'm the Plants Meow and welcome to my channel. So today I'm actually going to be doing a fun video and it's going to be about a few of my plants that I've noticed some significant growth updates from the year 2020 to now. So this is something as a plant parent we pretty much always look for and are completely obsessive over, and that's our plant's growth. I seriously come into this plant room every day just to see if there's new growth. But some of my plants, I don't even realize they're growing like that, and I look at their before and after photos and I'm completely astonished because in my mind, they've barely grown. And then now they look completely different. So it's pretty incredible and it's just something I wanted to show you. And today we're actually recording on my brand new camera, which has this amazing showcase feature. So I can show a plant here and not have to cover my face, but it still focuses on it. So it's gonna be so amazing and so great for this channel to finally have a camera that I really am just going to be happy to record with. I feel like I get so frustrated with my other camera that it just makes me not want to record my videos because it's not the content that I've been planning to put out. And sometimes I look at my video in the end and decide this isn't a video worth putting out there because the quality, in my opinion, is just not great. So I'm excited to finally have this camera. I hope it looks amazing. I'm sure there's still some features I have to adjust. I've already adjusted a couple before recording this first video, but I'm really excited to use it, and especially for this video, I seriously waited the last minute to do this. So this video is actually going to be put out tomorrow, and it's already the evening. I literally waited for this camera to arrive today. And I just finished unpackaging it, did a few things, and here we are. And I'm hoping it looks just as good as I have been hoping it would. Also, you really know I wanted to record a good video because it's like 80 degrees in my plant room right now. Between the grow lights and the fact that this is a room where it gets a lot of afternoon sun, and the fact that the fans aren't running for this video, it's kind of like death in here, but I'm trying to make this scene look as relaxed as possible because I really wanted to get this video out this week because I'm just super excited to show you guys just all these growth updates. So the first plant I wanted to showcase today is my Philodendron Adabapuenc. And this plant, let me tell you, this and along with a couple other philodendrons on this list had not grown for quite some time until I took cuttings off of them. Once I took the top cutting off, the bottom cutting really just soared with growth, and I was completely surprised by this. I guess it just kind of needed a little bit of a growth trigger because after that, they grew so much. And I'll even show you in this little video clip here just where I cut it. So the cut was made right here, and this giant plant just happened to grow out of it. So sometimes you'll get smaller growth that comes out when you cut your plant, and sometimes you'll just get bigger growth, especially if a plant is just ready to grow. But yeah, so with this plant, if you look at the before picture, which you could tell that was not that long ago, it was considerably smaller. It's not like I have crazy high humidity in here. It probably stays around 55%. And honestly, this plant has just done so well since I cut it and since I put it on this pole. It definitely needs a moss pole because she's getting really top heavy, and I feel like her growth will just get that much more larger once I do. But I'm just extremely happy with where she is right now. Just look at her. Like, compared to her before picture, isn't that just insane? Just a really gorgeous plant. I do want to mention that on top of cutting this plant and giving her a pole, I also did repot her to a much larger pot. A lot of my philodendrons were in small 6-inch pots, and honestly, I don't think that did a great service to them because they don't seem to complain in the larger pots and they're all really thriving. I feel like people, when they complain about larger pots, are probably putting them in too dense of a soil, because as long as you put them in a really airy mix, it really doesn't matter the pot size, because in nature, you know, the earth is their pot. Like, you're not just assigning it a size. Of course, there's other factors that go into that, but I just want you to know that smaller isn't always better. So this next plant is an Anthurium hybrid, and it's actually an unknown one that I call Lux. I actually did an import video on this one from Lox Plant Seller, and I believe it was just this kind of like this 3-leaf small plant, and it's just completely outgrown that. I don't even know if it has any of its original leaves, But I also want to say that its growth was severely stunted this growing season because I had pollinated an inflorescence on her that essentially created new growth that was much smaller because the inflorescence was just taking up so much energy. And on top of that, it was also taking a lot of energy from older leaves. So you can see on here, it looks like there's some deficiencies going on the bottom leaves, and that's really because of the inflorescence. But this plant has just grown so much, even with all that going on. It's pretty bonkers. Like, I just can't believe the growth on this one. And honestly, it loves just having a million leaves on itself. This definitely proves that your anthuriums can have a bunch of leaves and be fine. I'm even doing this kind of terrible air layering on her. I was going to chop and proper, but I just hadn't felt like it, so I decided to wrap some moss and just air layer her here to get some roots going, and then I'll go ahead and propagate her further in perlite. But she's doing really well. So this pink princess is a perfect example of potting up a plant in a pot that's like way too big for its size. I think it was like in a 4-inch or a 5-inch pot. And yeah, I potted up in this really large 10-inch pot because I didn't have a smaller ceramic one at the time that I wanted to pot her in. And yeah, that kind of happened. Honestly, if you're thinking about getting a pink princess but you're not sure, your investment will be returned tenfold because these are prolific growers, and everyone that I've come across that has one will say that as well. Sorry about that, the light should be better now. The sun is actually setting at the moment, so take a look at this girl. I'm definitely gonna have to record some of these separately because this is a really heavy pot, but she's a beast. Like, I can't believe how fast these truly grow. It's pretty insane. When I got her, I was completely surprised at the consistency of her putting out leaves. Just look at that. And if you're afraid because some of them aren't variegated well, a lot of her variegation early on wasn't that great, but now it's great. So it really goes back and forth. I don't even mind the very dark leaves with the few pink specks. I think they're really beautiful. Definitely worth to get one of these. They're insane. They're also just like really pretty. Like, this isn't doing it justice. Just look how pretty that is. Absolutely phenomenal. Sorry about the cat hair. And then there's my Philodendron JosuBono. So this guy, he came to me with quite a few leaves, but they were the average size you would see. I honestly just didn't expect to get the larger leaves as fast as I did. I think it's because I put him on a moss pole right away that he definitely took to that, and he's been popping out these stunning leaves. I don't even know if I could show you properly. Just look at how big. They're insane. Honestly, couldn't be more happy with this plant. I had mixed feelings about this guy before, but I don't know. Now it's just like, he's so beautiful in person. Like, honestly, I would highly recommend one of these if you've been thinking about it, but you're not sure, because they're so stinking pretty in person. And the variegation is just so different. Like, you'll have something like this, and then this. A lot of the times this will fade down to a green color, just like this one here. But I'm honestly surprised how light this does grow in, because this goes in extremely white. And I'm surprised for the amount of white that it has had, because I feel like I expect a lot of it to just be like this, where it's just completely dark growing in and just have splotches of white. But I'm going to insert a picture here of one of these leaves when they first came in, and honestly, I keep saying honestly, but seriously, like even this one, oh gosh, I remember when this one came in too. Absolutely gorgeous. I just can't say enough about this plant though. Like, I honestly didn't expect to love this one so much. It's pretty crazy. Like, how pretty is that? I don't know. I'm just completely just blown away by this. It's just like one of those plants that you walk in and you legitimately just feel just absolutely in love. And it's really nice to see a plant, you know, thriving, because sometimes we do have plants that don't thrive as well. And when you have such an easygoing plant like this one, it just makes you feel so good about it. How am I gonna get this guy in frame? This variegated Monstera, I honestly can't even show you properly. I'm gonna have to like move myself just so I can show you. But before I do that, I'm going to show you the earliest picture I have of this plant. If you actually watch my variegated Monstera care guide, you will kind of recognize this plant. At the time of that video, I believe she had four leaves, yes. So I had got this one as a 3-leaf unrooted cutting, I believe in March. I'll put the correct date below. And then I rooted her in water, and then I think I didn't take a picture of her early on because I had a lot of albos I was growing and my intention was to sell a lot of them, and I ended up falling in love with this one, so I ended up keeping her. But long story short, she has grown into a monster. So she went from a 3-leaf cutting with just some splits in her leaves to this with less than a year, like in months, she started getting holes in her leaves. And the reason I put her on a pole so quickly is because her 4th leaf and her 5th leaf were smaller than her previous leaves. And as soon as I put her on this pole, she just completely attached herself and she just frankly blew up. Like it's nuts. I've always been told variegated monsteras are slow growing, and this is the small leaf form, or as some people call it, the Borsigiana, and it has not stopped growing. It's so vigorous, and it's one of the quickest growing plants in my collection, and I'm just completely amazed at this plant. It's one of my favorites. I will never ever cut it unless it reaches my ceiling, so hopefully that's not anytime soon. She's actually going to be sat on the floor soon because I want to put another pole in and have it reach the top to the ceiling, so that way she can grow as much as she wants to. But I'm honestly afraid by this time next year she'll be close to the top of that pole, and I have 9-foot ceilings, so that scares me. But she's a beast. I'm just going to show you really quickly what the aerial roots look like. So this is kind of what's going on up in here. So if you notice, they're very big and they're very attached. And get around here. Just see all of these just completely curving around this pole and how thick her stem has gotten here. Like just compared to this side, her stem. Like it's so chonky now. Like how wild is that? These are actually her 3 initial leaves, which she never lost any of them. She has this one, and this one. And now she has monster leaves. How insane! I'm honestly like just in constant disbelief of this plant. And she has such pretty variegation. Like if you're looking for a variegated monstera, like I feel like this is what you want. And I don't know, I just can't believe it. But let me try to look for the leaves that were in the video. So leaves that were in the video, yeah, it was this leaf. And this leaf was the one in the picture that I had pop up on the screen. And then all these other leaves just grew in the last few months. I'm gonna do a little spin around so we can take a look. Some of her older leaves. Absolutely beautiful. Like what? Like, do you realize like how big this is? And if you're wondering why she's kind of twirling around the pole like this, it's because every once in a while I do move her. As I move her away from the light, she just climbs back to it. And I found that's just a really great way to make your monstera look super full. Now I just have a few honorable mentions I wanted to talk about. And the reason I can't show you them in this video is because they've changed. By that I mean propagation. So the first one is my Philodendron Florida Ghost. Honestly, it just wasn't doing anything for the longest time, and it's because I didn't give it good lighting. Then I put it directly under grow light. It just went crazy, and then I moved it to a window, and it continued its streak. Unfortunately, it grew so fast that I didn't realize how top heavy it was getting, and maybe I did. And I did not give it a support pole, and she snapped. Yeah, the story of the Florida Ghost. And then for a plant that I'm absolutely obsessed with is my Philodendron Splendid. So with this plant, I had ended up cutting it. I took the top cutting off because, like my Adabapuenc, it just was not growing. And as soon as I took the top off, it put out 2 growth points, and it has been vigorously growing ever since. I think between the 2 growth points, it put out like 12 new leaves in the span of months. It was absolutely insane. So I did end up propagating that one. I put some in my shop, and the rest of the plant I've left in my plant room for my own personal self. And another reason I did want to chop it down was because it was getting really high and it didn't have a proper moss pole or a support stake. So what ended up happening is the growth still remained the same size. Some even got smaller later. So I decided it was better to start from a shorter place. That way I had more growing room for when it did start growing again, because this plant grows so fast that I had no worries that it would just go crazy all over again. And I really prefer to start from a lower spot. That way I can have bigger leaves faster, and I'm really excited about that. And if you see this pole over here, this is my Philodendron Splendid on the ground. So I'm giving her as much growing room as I can, and I'm super, super happy about that. And I can't wait until I start getting monster leaves on that plant. Like, it's just gonna be incredibly insane. It's gonna be beautiful, it's gonna be gorgeous. I can't wait to show it off. I'm just so excited about it. But yeah. So of course there's a ton of other plants I could have showed, but I wasn't the greatest. I've noticed this picture taker this year. So a lot of my plants, while they did grow a lot, I don't have a lot of before photos, and that was disappointing because I kind of wanted to show you guys something like really cool, like the differences. So next year I plan to do a very large video based on my yearly growth. So this is going to be something every year going forward. I'm going to be taking pictures of all my plants in January every year, and then either the next January or that December, I will show you my growth for that year. And I feel like that's just going to be so fun. Of course, I'm still not going to do every plant, but I'll have a lot more to show than I did this year. So yeah. Also, I just really can't wait to show you what that variegated Monstera looks like next year. Like, look at this crazy chunky stem. It just has a million aerial roots it's trying to throw out. I think for the rest of this video, I'll go around and show you a few more plants, just not bring them here, just so you can see a few more that have changed quite a bit throughout the year. My Anthurium luxurians army. So the 3 here were quite smaller not that long ago, and now they're pretty stinking huge. Like, their leaves grew astronomically. I'm pretty surprised considering the humidity is just not the best in here. 44%. And then we have over here this one. This is my Anthurium luxurians that I got for my birthday. These are all gifts from Chris, but this is specifically the one that I got for my birthday from him. If you remember, it was just a 1-leaf plant. Now it has 4 leaves, inflorescence, and it's doing really well. I love that matte texture. It's just so beautiful. And here's my wonky red velvet. So this beautiful red velvet here, I need to put it on like a pedestal or something because it has these 4 leaves that are just kind of chilling on the ground. But it has none of its original leaves from this photo, but it has grown just so much. But it's definitely like, just needs something. Then I have this Anthurium carloblackiae, and this plant here, I got it not that long ago, and for a long time I had been underwatering it, which is why this happened, unfortunately. But there's a big beautiful dark leaf there. These 2 are original to the plant, and it's actually throwing out its second inflorescence right now. I did remove the first one just for growth reasons. Super pretty. It's actually not the entire plant. I actually have a video that I'm going to be talking about Anthurium pups, and she did have a pup on her that did grow, and I have separated that pup from this plant. So let me just show you really quickly. This is actually the pup that she grew, which is insane because if you look at the picture of when I got this plant, this essentially looks like the same size. And so I have that big plant and this plant all from the same plant, which is amazing and really makes spending so much money on that plant just that much more worth it, because now I have a secondary one, which is great. I feel so much better about life when when that happens, So lastly, I did want to show this Philodendron billeti. I'll show you the before picture really quickly. He's quarantined at the moment because I just sprayed him down for spider mites, but this is one I really wanted to show off in the video, but unfortunately I could not hold him for the video. So if you look at his before picture, clearly he's a beast in comparison. Just look at how massive these leaves are. It's pretty insane, actually. He's just grown so massive. Like, I wish I could show you the full extent of him, but I just don't feel comfortable like just having him flop around everywhere at the moment. But he's a beast, and wow, I'm just like, looking at his before picture seriously surprised me, because like this is one plant that I didn't even notice had just grown that much. And for a while, like, I wasn't its biggest fan because it grows so gangly. Like, it has super long petioles. It takes up a lot of space. So I know a lot of people like to kind of put something in there to lift all the leaves up. I don't know how I feel about that because I kind of like want plants to grow their own way. Like, I'm comfortable of putting the stem on the pole, but I don't know how I feel about kind of changing the direction of what the petioles want to do. So that's just kind of my opinion. But I don't know if I will always have a choice, but we'll see. I'm thinking just one good spot for him would be perfect, but yeah, I really do enjoy this plant. He's incredibly gorgeous. Honestly, I didn't even notice he had spider mite damage, and he had a ton of webs on him, but he had no real damage, so I don't know what was going on there. But it was clearly spider mite webs because they were so, like, you know how they are. They're just not normal webbing. So thank you for watching that before and after video. Let me know your thoughts on the plants. Were you surprised at any? What plants are thriving for you? Do you have any that have just been growing bonkers insane? I highly encourage you to go to your phone in a few months back and look at some of your plant photos and go up to your plants and see what they look like now. Because I guarantee you're going to find some very wonderful surprises. I know I definitely did, even going to make this video. I had so much fun doing this video and seeing the before and afters of my plants that I decided it'd be really awesome to see the before and afters of my followers. So if you want to participate, I would love to make a video of your before and afters. Go ahead and send an email to ThePlantsMeow@gmail.com. Send me a picture of your before and after and the dates of those before and afters, and let me know if you prefer to remain anonymous or if you don't mind having your YouTube username displayed. As a community, I think this would be so fun because we communicate often in the comments sections, but we typically don't see each other's plants. So if you participate, that would be really awesome, and thank you so much. Also, please let me know what you think of this camera. Is it a better camera than my other camera? Is it the same? Or do you think that it's gonna be amazing and we're gonna make so many great videos this year? But thank you so much for watching. As always, I really do appreciate it. I hope you really loved this video, and thank you so much for watching.